Have you ever encouraged your aging mom or dad, maybe even your sweet grandmother, to take more vitamins? You know, you meant well. You just wanted them to stay strong, stay sharp, live longer. You probably figured, hey, a little boost can't hurt, right? Probably have sitting right now in your kitchen cabinet, could be quietly increasing their risk of stroke. Not in the distant future. Not 10 years from now. But overnight. I know that sounds shocking. And trust me, it shocked me too when I first found out. Because we've all grown up hearing the same message: vitamins are safe. Vitamins are good for you. Vitamins are natural. But here's the thing, not all vitamins are created equal. And when you're dealing with an elderly body, one that's more fragile, more sensitive, more reactive, even something as small as a supplement can become a silent danger. Now, I don't want to scare you, but I do want to wake you up. Because this information could make the difference between a healthy night's sleep and a trip to the emergency room. You see, for years we've been sold this idea that popping a few extra pills can magically fix energy loss, memory problems, or even aging itself. But here's what most people don't realize. Some of those vitamins, when taken in high doses, or mixed with certain medications, can do far more harm than good. And yes, I'm talking about the ones we trust the most. What if the very thing meant to protect their brain is actually damaging it? In today's video, I'm going to break it all down for you. We'll dive into the vitamin that has shocked even brain doctors. We'll look at how it affects the aging brain, why it's especially dangerous for seniors at night, and what you can do right now to lower the risk. And don't worry, this isn't a scare tactic. I'm not here to throw medical jargon at you or sell you something. I'm here to share the facts, in plain English. Because if there's even a small chance that this knowledge could protect your parent, your grandparent, your spouse, or even you, then it's worth paying attention. And stick with me to the end, because I'll also share a much safer, often overlooked alternative that can support brain health without the risk. So let me ask you this. Have you or someone close to you ever taken a vitamin daily without really thinking twice about it? I want to know. Type "I'm here" in the comments if you want to learn how to protect your brain and body, especially during these golden years. It'll also help others in our little community know that they're not alone. And hey, if you're new here, welcome to Seniors Health, where we bring real, down-to-earth guidance for elder care, healthy living, and family well-being. If you care about your health or someone else's, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Let's take this wellness journey together, one truth at a time. Because when it comes to aging well, what you don't know can hurt you. But when you do know, you can make the kind of difference that truly matters. Let's get into it. Let me tell you about Mr. Thompson. Didn't sit right. So she took him to the ER just to be safe. What the doctors found was shocking. Mr. Thompson had been taking high doses of vitamin B6 daily for nearly a year. Not on purpose. Not recklessly. He was just following the instructions on a bottle he picked up at the pharmacy, along with his daily multivitamin and his brain health supplement he saw on TV. No one told him that he was doubling, even tripling, his intake without knowing it. Now, here's what most people don't understand. Vitamin B6 is essential, yes. It helps with metabolism, red blood cell production, and brain development. But in excess? It's like flipping the switch on a ticking time bomb, especially for older adults. You see, high doses of B6 can cause nerve toxicity. That's not just a fancy term, it means the nerves that help you feel, move, and react can become damaged. And once that damage begins, it's not always reversible. It can also mess with brain chemistry, throw off neurotransmitters, and even increase the risk of blood clotting. That's especially dangerous for seniors who are already walking a fine line with cardiovascular health. Think about it. If the blood becomes more prone to clotting, and a clot forms at the wrong place at the wrong time, it could block the flow of blood to the brain. That's a stroke. And in some cases, it can happen suddenly, without any warning. What's worse is that most families don't even realize this risk exists. They say things like, "Oh, it's just a vitamin. It's natural. It can't hurt. My neighbor takes the same one and feels great." But here's the truth. Natural doesn't always mean safe. Especially when you combine pills from different sources. Maybe a multivitamin here, a stress relief blend there, and a fortified drink in the morning. The numbers add up quietly in the background. So what can you do? First, check the labels. Every single one. Look for pyridoxine, or vitamin B6, and note how much is in each serving. Second, understand that the recommended daily amount for seniors is no more than 2 milligrams per day. That's it. And unless your doctor specifically tells you otherwise, there's no reason to go above that. Third, watch out for hidden sources. Many healthy cereals, energy bars, and drinks are packed with extra B6. You could be consuming far more than you think, even if you're not taking a single pill. And listen, I get it, you're just trying to help. We all are. We want our loved ones to have more energy, sharper minds, longer lives. But sometimes, the very thing we use to protect them turns out to be the thing we should have been watching out for. And B6 is only the beginning. There's another vitamin, one that gets praised all the time for being heart healthy. You've probably heard about it on commercials, or maybe even had it recommended by a friend. But for seniors, especially those taking blood thinners or dealing with unusual bruises on her mom's arms and legs. At first, they blamed it on aging skin. After all, bruising becomes more common as we grow older, right? But it wasn't just that. Anna started feeling lightheaded. She got tired doing the simplest tasks. And then one night, she complained of a pounding headache, lost her balance, and collapsed. It was a minor stroke, but a stroke nonetheless. And what puzzled the doctors was that her other risk factors were fairly controlled. Her blood pressure was stable. She wasn't diabetic. No recent trauma. No obvious red flags, until they looked into her supplement routine. Turns out, Anna had been taking high-dose vitamin E every single day, about 800 IU, for the past 3 months. She saw an ad online claiming it could protect the heart, boost memory, and slow aging. So naturally she said, why not? It's just a vitamin. But here's what most people, even caregivers and health-conscious folks, often miss. Vitamin E in high doses becomes a double-edged sword. Yes, it has antioxidant properties. Yes, it supports immune function and cardiovascular health. But when you cross a certain threshold, particularly over 400 IU per day, you're stepping into dangerous territory. Why? Because vitamin E thins the blood. And for younger, healthy individuals, that might not cause any obvious problems. But for seniors, especially those already on blood thinners like aspirin, Plavix, or warfarin, it can tip the balance too far. In Anna's case, her blood had become so thin, it couldn't clot effectively. That small stroke? It wasn't from a blockage, it was hemorrhagic. A small vessel in her brain had burst. And the worst part? It could have been avoided. Here's the misconception that gets so many people in trouble. If a little is good, more must be better. We think, hey, vitamin E is heart healthy, right? So let's double it. Maybe even triple it. Keep the heart young, the arteries clean, and the mind sharp. But that kind of thinking can be dangerous, especially for the elderly. The blood vessels in an aging body are not as elastic, not as strong. The brain, in particular, is vulnerable. One tiny rupture in a weakened vessel and you've got a crisis on your hands. So what can you do? Start with food. Instead of reaching for the pill bottle, look to natural sources of vitamin E that come with built-in balance. A handful of almonds, a serving of spinach, a sprinkle of sunflower seeds. These offer the nutrient and forms your body can recognize, absorb, and regulate more gently. If supplementation is truly needed, and sometimes it is, then keep it under 400 IU per day, unless your doctor has specifically advised a different dose for a medical reason. And don't forget to check everything. Many multivitamins already contain vitamin E, and if you're adding another standalone capsule on top of that, you could be pushing the total intake well beyond what's safe. The problem is most people never add it up. They just take what the label says and trust the marketing. But when it comes to older adults, we can't afford to guess. Their bodies don't handle excess the same way. What was once helpful in small doses becomes hazardous in large ones, especially when mixed with other medications or unnoticed health conditions. Anna's story ended okay. She recovered slowly. But that moment shook her daughter to the core. And I share her story today not to frighten you, but to remind you that even something that looks harmless can have serious consequences. And vitamin E isn't the only one we should be watching. There's another supplement that sneaks in quietly, often through combinations we don't even notice. It's in the daily multivitamin, the protein shake, the fortified cereal, and it has a strange way of multiplying across your routine without warning. And when too much builds up in the bloodstream, especially in an elderly body, the results can be far more serious than you'd think. I'll never forget the day I visited an elderly couple, Mr. and Mrs. Porter. They were in their early 80s, still independent, still active, and absolutely proud of how well they were managing their health. During our chat, Mrs. Porter waved me over to the kitchen and said, "Come take a look at our little wellness corner." She opened a cabinet, actually 2 of them, filled top to bottom with colorful bottles. Capsules, chewables, soft gels, powders, and drink mixes, all neatly arranged. Multivitamins for seniors. Omega-3s. Extra calcium. Brain boosters. Immune support blends. You name it, they had it. And I could see the pride in her eyes. She said, "We never miss a day. We take them all religiously. It's what's keeping us going." But here's the catch. Neither of them realized they were doubling, or even tripling, up on several nutrients every single day. And this is something I see so often in older adults and their families. It's not intentional. They're not being careless. They're simply unaware that different products can contain overlapping ingredients. A multivitamin might have vitamin A, B complex, and iron. Then the memory support pill has more B vitamins. The energy booster has another shot of B12. And that meal replacement drink? Yep, more of the same. This layering effect turns into a silent overdose over time. Now here's where the science gets concerning. Too much vitamin A can damage the liver, weaken bones, and increase pressure inside the skull. Excess iron, especially in people who don't actually need more, can cause inflammation, digestive issues, and raise the risk of heart disease. And high levels of B-complex vitamins, especially B6 and B3, can mess with nerve function, cause fatigue, and even trigger confusion and irritability. For the elderly, this cocktail of confusion, inflammation, and toxicity doesn't just make them feel off. It can mimic the symptoms of early dementia. It can mess with blood pressure. It can lead to stroke if those elevated levels cause the blood vessels to narrow or clot. And here's the saddest part. When symptoms begin to show, most people don't think to blame the vitamins. They assume it's aging. They say, "Oh, he's just slowing down." Or, "She's been sleeping a lot lately, probably just tired." Meanwhile, the liver's working overtime to process the overload. The brain's trying to balance itself out amidst all the extra stimulation and stress. The blood vessels are under pressure. And the person? They just feel worse by the day, while still believing they're doing something good for their health. It's a dangerous cycle, and it's one we need to talk about openly. The truth is, multivitamins are not one size fits all. What works for a 30-year-old fitness enthusiast doesn't necessarily apply to someone in their 70s or 80s. Our bodies change. Our ability to absorb, metabolize, and eliminate nutrients changes. And unless you know what you're missing through proper testing, supplementing blindly can do more harm than good. So what's the better way? Get a blood panel. Simple as that. Talk to a doctor. Ask them to check your nutrient levels, especially vitamin D, B12, iron, folate, and calcium. Then and only then, supplement with precision. Not because a label says, "for seniors," not because a friend recommended it, and certainly not because a social media ad made it sound like a miracle. Customize, don't generalize. Because your body deserves care that's tailored to your specific needs, not a catch-all that assumes every older adult is the same. And look, I know it's confusing out there. We're bombarded with advice. Take this for energy. This one boosts memory. That one's great for your joints. But just because it's in a bottle doesn't make it right for you. What matters is understanding what your body is actually asking for, and not just what the label is shouting. Now, the next vitamin we need to talk about? It's tricky, because it seems completely innocent. In fact, most people take it without a second thought, usually just before bed, thinking it'll help them sleep better and wake up stronger. But for seniors, especially those with blood pressure issues, kidney concerns, or circulation problems, it can quietly disrupt the body's natural rhythms and lead to serious consequences while they sleep. Let me introduce you to Mrs. Emily, 82 years old. She had this gentle spirit, loved gardening, sipping tea by the window, and reading mystery novels before bed. A lovely woman, sharp-minded, full of life. But over a few months, her daughter started noticing small changes, subtle ones at first. Emily began waking up confused, sometimes not remembering if she had eaten dinner. She started having trouble falling asleep, and when she did sleep, it was restless. Her daughter assumed it was just another stage of aging. Maybe a little stress. Maybe just poor sleep habits. Then one morning, Emily didn't wake up on her own. They found her unresponsive. She had suffered a minor stroke, in her sleep. No warning signs. No dramatic symptoms the night before. It seemed to come out of nowhere. But when the doctors reviewed her supplement routine, one thing stood out immediately. She had been taking vitamin D3 supplements every single night before bed for nearly a year. And here's the thing, she wasn't overdoing it intentionally. She was following advice she saw online and from friends. Everyone was saying how important vitamin D was for bones, immunity, mood, and more. So she figured, why not take it at night, let it work while she sleeps? But here's what most people don't know, especially when it comes to elderly health. Taking vitamin D at the wrong time, in the wrong dose, without proper monitoring, can become a silent threat. You see, vitamin D doesn't just support bones. It also helps your body absorb calcium. And when you're taking high doses, let's say 2000 IU, 5000 IU or more, that calcium can start to build up in your blood. And when there's too much calcium, it doesn't just float around harmlessly. It starts to settle. It begins calcifying soft tissues, like blood vessels. And those hardened vessels can make it harder for blood to flow properly, especially when the body is resting, lying flat, and blood circulation naturally slows overnight. In seniors whose arteries are already under stress from aging, this calcification can quietly contribute to higher blood pressure, reduced oxygen flow to the brain, and increased risk of clotting or bleeding. That's exactly what likely happened to Mrs. Emily. Her stroke didn't come from a trauma or chronic condition. It came from an unmonitored buildup, slowly accumulating over months, triggered by what most of us consider a harmless vitamin. And here's where the real issue lies. Doctors often recommend vitamin D. They're not wrong, it plays a critical role. But the part that gets missed is the monitoring. Very few people ever go back to check their serum vitamin D levels once they start taking supplements. And very few are warned about the side effects of taking too much, especially in older adults with kidney issues, heart concerns, or medication interactions. Now, does that mean vitamin D is bad? Absolutely not. It's vital. But like anything powerful, it must be handled with care. So here's what I recommend. First, get tested. Before starting a supplement, ask your doctor for a 25-hydroxy vitamin D blood test. That tells you exactly where you stand. Second, unless you've been diagnosed with a deficiency, stick to the standard recommended dose, 600 to 800 IU per day. That's enough for most seniors. Not 2000. Not 5000. Not super strength. Third, take it in the morning, preferably with food. Why morning? Because vitamin D is tied to your circadian rhythm, that natural internal clock that helps your body know when to wake up and when to rest. Taking it at night can actually disrupt that cycle. It can make you feel restless, alert, and even interfere with sleep. That's the opposite of what we want in older adults. And most importantly, don't just take it because someone else said it helped them. Your body is unique. Your needs are personal. And what's safe for one person might be risky for another. We need to stop treating supplements like candy and start treating them with the same respect we give to medications, because they have real effects. Mrs. Emily's story is a reminder that even well-intentioned habits can carry hidden risks, especially when they go unchecked. The good news? Once her doctors adjusted her routine, she slowly improved. But it was a long recovery, and a painful lesson for her family. And that brings me to the last vitamin I want to talk about today. It's one that people take for energy, for mental clarity, for nerve health. And while it has incredible benefits, especially for seniors, it's also one that's frequently overused, through injections, pills, and fortified foods, all without proper testing. In the wrong hands or at the wrong dose, it can lead to symptoms that look like brain fog, anxiety, even signs of early dementia. Let me tell you about Mr. Caldwell. 85 years old. A retired librarian, sharp as a tack, at least he used to be. Everyone in his family admired his memory. He could recall specific dates, exact book titles, and even full passages from classics like Moby Dick or To Kill a Mockingbird. But slowly something changed. He started forgetting names. He'd walk into a room and freeze, trying to remember why he went in there. One time, he completely forgot how to operate the microwave, something he used every morning for years. Now his family was understandably concerned. But they weren't panicked, because Mr. Caldwell was already on something that was supposed to help, vitamin B12 shots. He'd been getting them once a week. What? Because he heard B12 was the brain vitamin. He read it sharpened memory, boosted energy, and helped fight fatigue. And in older adults, B12 deficiency is common, so the weekly injection seemed like a smart choice. But despite those shots, his memory kept slipping. His brain felt foggy. And he didn't feel like himself. Eventually, his doctor ran some detailed blood work, something that, oddly enough, hadn't been done in a long time. And what they found left everyone stunned. Mr. Caldwell didn't have a B12 deficiency. He had toxic levels of B12 building up in his system. Now that might sound impossible. After all, B12 is water-soluble, right? That means the body is supposed to flush out what it doesn't need. That's true in theory. But here's where things get more complicated in the world of elderly health. As we age, our kidneys and liver slow down. They're not as efficient at clearing out what the body doesn't use. And if you keep stacking weekly injections on top of daily fortified foods, multivitamins, or other supplements, it adds up. The body isn't just getting B12, it's getting overloaded. And in rare cases, like Mr. Caldwell's, that overload can start to mimic the very thing you're trying to prevent. He was experiencing neurological confusion, irritability, and poor coordination. Not because he lacked B12, but because his body couldn't process the excess. You see, while B12 is vital for nerve health and brain function, too much can actually overstimulate nerve endings. It can disrupt how neurotransmitters fire. It can cause nerve agitation, leading to things like tingling, anxiety, and yes, even memory issues. It's a perfect example of how more doesn't always mean better. One of the biggest misconceptions I hear is this: B12 gives you energy. It helps your brain. So I'll take more and feel better faster. But it doesn't work like that, especially not for seniors. The body needs balance, not overload. And let's not forget, B12 can also mask other issues. If you're taking mega doses without knowing your baseline levels, it might be hiding a folate imbalance, or covering up symptoms that are actually caused by early kidney dysfunction or even thyroid issues. So what's the safer route? Start by doing what Mr. Caldwell hadn't done in over a year. Get your B12 levels tested. Ask your doctor for a simple blood test. It'll show you whether you're deficient, normal, or high. If you do need more B12, start with food first. Try natural sources like eggs, particularly the yolks. Salmon and tuna, great for both B12 and omega-3s. Fortified cereals, especially helpful for those with poor appetite. If your doctor recommends supplementation, go slow, and always monitor. Don't jump into injections unless it's absolutely necessary and medically supervised. And don't fall for the hype that says, a little is good, so more must be better. Especially not with something as complex as your brain. Mr. Caldwell eventually got better. Once the excess B12 levels were brought back to a healthy range, the fog began to lift. He's back to reading, playing chess with his grandson, and even correcting people on historical dates, just like the old days. But that experience shook him. He thought he was doing the right thing. He had no idea his efforts to stay mentally sharp were backfiring quietly in the background. And this is exactly why we need to talk about supplement safety in older adults. Not to scare anyone, but to empower families with the truth. Because these hidden dangers? They don't come with warning signs. They come with subtle shifts, tiredness here, confusion there, and if we're not looking closely, we miss them until it's too late. But the good news is, now you know. And that kind of awareness can change everything. Now, let's take a moment to talk about what all this really means, emotionally, practically, and personally, for anyone caring for someone they love in their golden years. You know, one of the hardest things to witness is seeing someone you love, doing what they think is right for their health, every day, only to discover that it's quietly harming them. It could be your mother, faithfully taking that memory boost supplement every night before bed. Or your grandfather, who trusts that morning shake packed with vitamins because it says heart healthy on the label. They're not doing anything wrong. In fact, they're doing what they believe is right. That's what makes this so painful. Because behind that daily habit is a sincere, this isn't about living in fear or panic. This is about awareness. It's about empowerment. Because the truth is, once you know what to look for, you can act. You can ask better questions. You can read labels differently. You can have conversations with your doctor that actually go somewhere. And most importantly, you can help the people you love make better decisions. This moment right now, this awareness you now have, it's a turning point. So here's what I want you to do tonight. Just one simple step. Take 10 minutes. Go to your loved one's kitchen or your own. Pull out every supplement bottle. Every packet, pill, powder, or dropper. Look at the ingredients. Look at the dosages. Cross-check with what we've talked about today. Is there too much B6? Are they doubling up on vitamin E? Are they taking high doses of vitamin D at night? Is there hidden B12 in multiple places? Are they layering multivitamins on top of fortified foods? You don't have to be a doctor. You just have to look. Because that 10-minute check could change everything. Could save a life. And please remember this. Health in old age isn't about doing more. It's not about stacking pills and powders until there's no space left on the shelf. It's about doing better. Making thoughtful, informed, simple choices. Ones that bring balance, not overload. Clarity, not confusion. And that's where love shows up. Because when you love someone, truly, you take the time to learn. You stay curious. You ask the hard questions. And sometimes you even protect them from themselves, gently, patiently, without judgment. So if you're feeling overwhelmed right now, take a breath. Because you're already doing the most powerful thing you can do. You're paying attention. You're showing up. You care. And how taking high doses at night can elevate calcium levels and quietly stress the heart and brain while we sleep. And finally, we looked at vitamin B12, which, while critical for energy and brain health, can cause overstimulation and fog when levels become too high and go unchecked. These vitamins? They're common. They're accessible. They're even marketed as must-haves for aging well. But the truth is, when taken without thought or guidance, they can backfire. They can do real harm. They can increase the risk of stroke, worsen cognitive decline, and slowly drain the vitality from the very people we're trying to protect. And now you know. You have the insight most people don't. You're not just guessing or hoping. You're informed. And that means you can act with confidence, not fear. Let me ask you something personal. Have you, or someone close to you, ever had a surprising reaction to a vitamin or supplement? Something unexpected, something that made you stop and wonder if what you were taking was actually helping? If so, I'd love to hear your story. Please share it in the comments below. I read every single one. This isn't just a channel, it's a community. A space where caregivers, children, and seniors themselves can learn, reflect, and support each other through real-life experiences. And if this video opened your eyes even a little, if it made you think differently about the pills and powders we take for granted, then I gently ask, consider subscribing to Seniors Health. We bring you weekly tips, stories, and health awareness guidance to help you care smarter, not harder. Because sometimes the best care doesn't come from doing more, it comes from understanding more. Here we focus on the truths most people don't talk about. Not to scare, but to prepare. Not to shame, but to guide with compassion, experience, and empathy. So thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And most of all, thank you for caring. You are part of something special here. Stay informed. Stay compassionate, and stay with us here at Seniors Health. I'll see you in the next video.